Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some pretty big news and the official announcements that I did say I wanted to go and cover when it comes to the brand new major updates. Although, I do want to go and say, we're sadly not going to maybe actually see this coming to the PlayStation 5. So, a little bit kind of sad stuff to go and cover, although I do want to go reiterate and push that this is not like just a long-term thing. It also so very obviously probably will end up showing up on the PlayStation 5 in the near future. We sadly will not be having it as of right now. But we have a lot of things to go talk about. We had official press conferences to go talk about too as well. Some also really good news for the Xbox, not to be a Debbie Downer, because we are a little bit more, I think, slightly on the PlayStation 5 side. Although the Xbox, still, good console. I'm sure a lot of you guys still either want to go get one or have one yourselves, and as well also for GPUs, which a lot of folks are out there. But as well, this is also stuff that probably will be ending up and coming out to the PlayStation 5 as well, so it's kind of good news to know at least what's going on, what was announced, and all this type of good stuff. So let's go and talk about it. And as well, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 disc, digital console, and controller. Twitter and Twitch stream as well down below. We have the Weeble and Coinbase down below, and also the Twitter giveaway down below, so be on the lookout for that one. Let's go and dive into the video. So as you guys may have seen around 2 days ago or 1 day ago, just depending on when you guys click on this video, there is actually a brand new update that we were kind of hyping on up and talking about, which was in regards to the AMD major big internal upgrade. Now, this is actually going to be in regards to FSR 2.0, basically just the better iteration and more efficient version than in comparison to the 1.0 version. Now, a lot of us were kind of expecting and assuming this will be in regards to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox. But funny enough, we actually did go and have an official notice now that it is only for the Xbox and specific NVIDIA cards. Now, I do want to go and upgrade, talk about this again. This is also still able to be brought to the PlayStation 5, I believe, and as well also for other various things. Just as of right this current second, that's kind of like almost in a partnership and all that type of stuff tied on in when it comes to the AMD Fidelity FX Super Resolution 2.0. Which is kind of a mouthful just to say. So we have a lot of things to go talk about, a lot of cool things to go and bring it up to as well in regards to AMD, and we just have a lot of things. So let's go and dive on into it. So we first and foremost have the article from The Verge stating, AMD says its frame rate boosting FSR 2.0 is also now heading to Xbox and these NVIDIA graphics cards. The upscaling battle continues. So, last week, AMD promised, which is why we had a chance to go and cover that before the actual official announcements were, so everyone was kind of caught on up. AMD promised a new technology that would that should let you blow up your games to higher resolutions or increase their frame rates without requiring the fancy machine learning hardware of NVIDIA's GPUs, like NVIDIA's lauded DLSS. Now, at GDC, which is just a little convention, 2022, it's revealing how the new Fidelity FX Super Resolution 2.0 actually works. And it's coming to Microsoft's Xbox game consoles as well. So while AMD says it can actually say when the Xbox game developers might take advantage of FSR 2.0, it says it will also fully support. It will also be fully supported on the Xbox and will be available on the Xbox GDK for registered developers to use in their games. So kind of the big thing to kind of know for that one is that if basically whenever they are able to be in the developer platform, that essentially means that, guess what, you can have people develop and utilize this technology to make the games run better, upscale better, perform better, and just everything is just awesome to go and see. So it's kind of like their really kind of weird runaround, if you guys can kind of see this one. I think a lot of this stuff is kind of slightly on the more technological side than me, but they basically just have a chance to go and basically just, make everything better. At the end of the day, basically they're able to go put all the stuff, get all the inputs, and then use the brand new Fidelity FX Super Resolution upscaling to essentially fill in a lot of the blanks that are left over. Now, I wish I knew how to explain this better. It's such a confusing concept, but essentially everything put together, same with machine learning and other various types of learning, all of that put together basically goes to show that it is just making things more efficient, making it look a little bit nicer, look a bit cleaner, and basically filling a lot more blanks than they need to. So, if someone as well can explain a little bit better, they totally can. It's also giving the community a list of both AMD and NVIDIA GPUs, which is surprising, because as you guys know, AMD is its own company, but they have their own partnership pretty much together, I guess, at this point. We can actually go and expect FSR 2.0 to run. If you've got an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 1070 or higher, the company suggests that you might be able to go take advantage of FSR 2.0 at least on a 1080p monitor. the same way you do with the AMD Radeon RX as well up and above. So it's kind of cool to see. We're also have been seeing like RTX ray tracing too, as well as kind of on a cross-platform and cross like console-wise too. So it's kind of just nice to see everyone utilizing it, because in theory, you just want people using your technology because it kind of puts the more preferred run on your card. So think like an AMD technology in theory should always run better on AMD cards. So if it's something that every game developer and people are using, that should also in theory drive a lot more sales as well. So what we've been wondering since day one is, what's the catch? How can AMD nearly double the frame rate of a demanding game like Deathloop, which is still insane, like that's really good news, at a 4K equivalent resolution with the kind of image quality showed us last week, all without dedicated machine learning cores like NVIDIA's DLSS. And whenever I think I mentioned this in the previous video too, so whenever I mention like say like machine learning, just use for like the rough concept of it, so you guys can kind of know what's going on with it. So the answer is complicated, but basically the short version is you basically can't unless you have a relatively powerful graphics card to begin with. So it does kind of like, once again, I kind of wish I knew how to do this a little bit better. Just at the end of the day, it runs a lot more efficient. Everything kind of upscales and kind of just transmutes a little bit better. And I keep on using the terminology machine learning too as well, but it's kind of that same concept where it's kind of just filling in the blanks and making sure everything kind of works and moves a little bit more efficient. So for this one, if you guys go look through all these ones with the target upscaling resolutions, you can kind of go and see for this one on the card. So say let's you have at least like a 3070 or at least a 2070 when it comes to 4K, you can go and utilize this target upscaling resolution. When it comes to also these are the previous ones too, for like a 3060 and below, you guys can utilize that. And then for the 1080p, I think it's like on the 1070 and above. So kind of cool. So it's like, I don't want to say it's like end all be all, but this is at least like 5 or so years of resolutions tied out in. And obviously, as you guys know, the consoles are pretty much like right in the middle. Like if we had to have like a rough idea, it'd probably be around this one, although consoles are slightly more optimized and also run on different engines and stuff like that. So you probably still target the 4K with that. While the FSR 2.0 algorithm is remarkably fast, under 1.5 milliseconds in all of AMD's examples, it still does take time to run, and it takes more time on lower-end GPUs, where AMD freely admits that some of its optimizations don't work quite as well. Which actually might be kind of a bad thing too when it comes to Xboxes, and in the future for PlayStations, where you guys can kind of go and see that's like really easy for 1080p, but as it gets a little bit higher, it can still be a little bit on the rougher side depending on your cards. And all that under 1.5 ms period, FSR 2.0 does all sorts of things though. AMD says it replaces a full temporal anti-aliasing pass, which is basically getting rid of a bunch of your game's jagged edges. So basically it's kind of more so getting rid of just unneeded stuff you don't need. By calculating motion vectors, reprojecting frames to cancel out jitter, creating disillusion, math, these are all above me, that compare one frame to the next to see what did and didn't move so they can cancel out ghosting effects, locking thin features in place with the barely visible edges of staircases and thin wires, keeping colors from drifting, and sharpening the whole image, among other techniques. In all honesty, I barely know what they're saying, but I just think at the end of the day is they're basically just making all this stuff a lot more efficient. They're trying to make sure everything's like running good, feeling good, vibing good. It's basically cutting out like a lot of the unneeded things you don't have to actually go and render, and as well as basically making everything look and seem a lot more efficient. I think efficiency is probably the best word for it, and the more efficient things are, that means that the higher just more technology can actually utilize when it comes to shadows, when it comes to textures, when it comes to resolutions, when it comes to animations, because if there's encoding less, you can do more. That's why I'm kind of using the rough idea of like machine learning, although it's not machine learning, because it's just essentially like learning from past experience, which in all end all be kind of is a little bit like machine learning. Unlike FSR 1.0, this requires some work on the part of the game developer, so that's why I kind of maybe have a little bit harder issues, maybe for the PlayStation side. So it's not something you're going to see every game developer take advantage of, but AMD does confirm that both Deathloop and Forspoken will be taking advantage of it. So I'm actually very curious to test out Forspoken itself on my PC, and mainly if they're using this technology. AMD says games that already support NVIDIA's DLSS should, in theory, be easy to set up because it is kind of on the somewhat same technological side. I'm not sure how hard it is for the coding side, but if AMD is the one who made it, and I'd probably trust both of them on their ends. So, though with just a few days of work to integrate, and that game's running on Unreal Engine 4 and Unreal Engine, we'll have to make a plugin to make it work. Games that already use temporal anti-aliasing will also have a development advantage, but if a developer hasn't built their game with some sort of these things in mind, AMD says it could take 4 or more weeks to work, which in all honesty is really not that bad. If you're a big game and you're trying to go upgrade your stuff, ideally you don't want to spend a whole month of having some folks working on it, trying to improve your stuff, but at the end of the day, it is seemingly not that bad. So while they're also still trying their best to try FSR for themselves, they at least have a chance to go and see some better quality too as well. And now I do want to always kind of say it's kind of hard for me to figure out exactly like what make things like look a little bit on the better side. But I will want to go and say it does usually kind of seem on the quick glance that things do pop a little bit more on the bottom side. Things just look a little bit cleaner. They don't look as like it's just on very quick. I'm sure you can probably go and like zoom in and find a lot of these little small details, but it does kind of seem just a little slightly more cleaner. And I'm sure it's probably more on the performance side too as well, more when you're actually playing it, you'd be able to go and take advantage of a little bit more. So very intriguing stuff. A little bit sad on the news that the PlayStation 5 specifically is not running it as of now, but as of as well on top of that, the Xbox was probably going to be utilizing it, same with PC, and I'm sure in the future the PS5 still can utilize it. It's never against that, but as of right now, it's just not the native support for it. So kind of cool stuff to go talk about this, and kind of cool technology to go and see. I can't wait to see it utilized, especially on PC, and kind of go from there. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 Digital Console Controller, Twitter and Twitch stream as well down below, and the Twitter giveaway down below. Got that Webull, got that Coinbase, and all those other various things too as well. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all throughout today for a bunch more videos. Love you guys.